Greetings, everybody. It's Jim, and I am glad to get one of these Task Force games to the table finally. This game, actually, the reason I picked this game is because of two reasons. One, it was very easy to get into. It's a very basic war game with little tweaks to make it its own. So it's nothing you haven't seen before, and that's a good thing if you want to just jump into a game. Okay, so no points off for being standard in that way. Another thing is the map reminds me a lot of this little game that just came in the mail today, Revolt on Antares, the TSR mini game, which is a lot of nostalgia factor for me. But the thing is, it was just the idea of you're taking over an entire world, and it's just the map of the world, and the structure almost looked like it, and same with the graphics and stuff. The only difference is Revolt on Antares is science fiction, and this is based on fantasy, and that's just fine. Now, the gameplay, I can tell you, as I just said, it's very basic, 12 pages long, but one of the biggest things that I would say about this is a recruitment game, okay? Basically, you don't start with any forces, and you're bouncing around for half the game. The game is 25 turns long, and you're probably starting about, I'd say about half of the game just trying to recruit enough units to then go after attacks on other citadels that you don't own yet, basically. This reminds me of two games. One, Julius Caesar, one of the top 100 war games of all time, according to Board Game Geek in the wargaming community from Columbia Games. You do have forces in this game at the beginning, and you have a lot of them. But after a while, once the forces start getting dwindling down and you start moving around, you really do get some more powerful units to recruit your forces, or just playing out higher as you go around. It's a lot better than just building as you just go, if you just go plodding forward, because all you're going to get is basic auxiliary units, and they're not powerful at all. So definitely I would count that as a recruitment game. Also, as far as recruitment, another Columbia game it reminds me of is just one that's about to come out on Kickstarter soon, and that is Alliance. I just had a very successful video, over 1,000 views in a couple of days for Alliance, and it works on the same idea. Basically, you got all the major powers, but then there's a bunch of minor states, and basically while you're warring against everybody else, you're also trying to convince all these other people to come to your side, and you get control of the block that is from their territory if you do a successful diplomatic role. So it's definitely a recruitment style part going on in Alliance as well. But today, I'm going to be going over with you my review of the city-states of Arklyrell. Okay, so here we have everything laid out, not set up yet, because I chose to actually cut the counters with my counter clipper that you can see in the upper right-hand corner. If you don't know what one of those is, but definitely check out the video. I have a link down below for the Wargaming counter clipping, because it just makes the counters a little bit neater. Because the thing about the older war games is when you're punching out the counters, and nowadays you can just punch them out. There's no frayed edges or anything. They just got the technology down. But back then, they didn't. They had a lot of frayed corners. So with these counter clippers, you clip them off, and they look nice and rounded and pretty. Okay, so check that out. Now, let's go to the setup. And basically with this, all the yellow counters that you see, except for the one bright yellow counter you see on the left-hand side there, on the left island, all those are not owned by anybody. Like I said before, the four heroes in this game, denoted by the bright yellow, the pink, the blue, and the green, those guys are going to go spread out and try to recruit as many of these yellow counters as they can. And sometimes they'll make it, sometimes they'll fail. Some will be easier to recruit than others. Now, the only thing about this game that already stood out to me as a possible problem was the fact that who owns what. And the thing is, every counter has a unit nomenclature at the top left, a number. There's a number for every counter. And you get to, once you recruit one, you got to write down and track which ones you own, because it's your forces, you'll know intrinsically where your forces are at. The problem is, especially if you're playing 4 players, I believe there's going to be a lot of people constantly asking, do you own that? Do you own that? Do you own that? Even if you know yours. So that one thing I really wish they would have done, and I understand they can't do it, especially for a mini game, is make another set of counters for your color. So otherwise you recruit this counter over here. Okay, you replace it with a red because you're red, and you replace it with yours. Obviously, that would take 4 counter sheets, 5 counter sheets, because of 5 being the neutral color. So I understand why they could not do that at all. Unfortunately, it's the way that the game has to be played. Now, the face down markers are all magic items and one pitfall. Basically, it's a poison well, and basically, if you go investigate one of these, it's going to make you lose a turn. All right. So there are hazards here in looking for the magic items. But once that magic item is found, all bets are off. Everybody can go after the magic items as they wish. And you probably will because they're pretty powerful as it is. So one of the things about the game that's pretty interesting is it's all about the recruitment, because the thing is, it's a 25 turn game, okay? And half the game, I would say, you spend recruiting. I mean, you're always recruiting because you can do it once a turn. But the thing is, once you try to recruit somebody, and this is another piece of paperwork you got to track, is once you try to recruit somebody and you fail, you cannot recruit them again. They just don't like you. Your charisma did not win them over. So you got to track that you already checked, that you already failed to recruit them, so you don't try to do it again. With the exception of naval units. Naval units you can always try to recruit. Now, is there a storyline behind that? Well, I can tell you there's a gaming reason for it, because if you can't get the navies, sometimes you won't be able to get off the dang island, right? Now, there are flying creatures in this game that you can recruit, and they can fly you around. But nonetheless, if you're on one of those islands that has only one ship and doesn't have any flying rock creatures, as they call them, you are stuck on that island. So you can always recruit the naval units all you can. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't with ground units that you fail to recruit, because you can still recruit them again in a certain instance, and that's only if another leader grabs them first. And why is that? Because when you're in battle and you have forces, if you lose and your guys you start retreating, they actually might just say, you know what, we're out of here, we're gone, and you'll lose them as forces, and then you can try one more time to re-recruit them because they already lost favor with the other leader. So a lot of interesting things happen here. But yeah, for half the part of the game, you're bouncing around, and this is what causes the chaos, because the whole idea is to control the citadels, and there's a number of citadels around. In a 3 or 4 player game, if you control 4 citadels at the end of any turn, the game is automatically over. But if at the end of 25 turns, he who owns the most citadels wins the game. Tie is broken by combat values, all right, for recruitment. So half the game you're going around recruiting, and that creates a lot of chaos, because, I mean, my first few turns, I was losing all the time. I couldn't recruit anybody. Either could the other guy. We were rolling 1s and 2s, because you have to roll higher than their morale. And a lot of them are around 2. There are some that are 3, and then some that are 5. But yeah, you just don't get the good rolls, and turns roll around pretty quickly in this game, because especially the early turns, because of recruitment. You can't do much. You just move your guy, try to recruit somebody. You either do it or you don't. So the first few turns, you're definitely going around like that. Also, when it comes to the combat in this, let me look at it's a differential chart, not a combat odds chart. Okay, so it's your attack strength against their attack strength, and that's it. Now the thing is about this is you can have as many units as you want attack a unit, but that defending unit, cannot have buddies, even if they're adjacent, help them out. Okay, so it's going to have some lopsided battles. I'm sure you could optional rule that if you wanted to, but the thing is, in this game with the differentials, as you can see right there, if you have even odds or even differential at 0, you're barely, it's not good for you. You are at a distinct disadvantage. AD means attacker retreats. Okay, they're disrupted. All right, and that means you might lose some of your forces, as I mentioned earlier. So you definitely want to have overwhelming odds going in, and this is kind of why they do that. And you don't necessarily have to destroy the enemy, because sometimes you do want them just to lose control of the forces so you can recruit them later on. So that's an interesting thing. Sometimes you don't want to destroy them at all. So one of the things that I did not like about this game is that some of the here's the terrain chart here. Okay, basically there's the combat modifiers up here as well. Okay, there's 2 things here that I'll talk about. The movement costs. One thing about movement costs, and I wish this was true in a lot of war games, you gotta list them all. I get it, but it's like, look, if the basic movement is 1, and you don't have anything like 2s and 3s and 4s, nothing too complicated, this one only has 2s with the exception of a road. Okay, it would be easier to just say ice, mountain, and forest hexes all cost 2. Stop there. That's all you would have to say, because having this list is like, okay, what's this? What's this? Just remember, ice, mountain, forest, two. You know, a road is half if you start on the road. Simple as that. That's basic wargaming there. Now, one thing is about these combat modifiers is, of course, these are the certain units have better modifiers than others depending on the terrain that they're on. Okay. So basically, if a guy's in the citadel and you got a city man in there, they call them city men, city guards, I guess you could say, you're at a -2 to attack. And that's significant in this game since you're only rolling a d6. Okay. So that is a big deal there. But however, one of the biggest problems in this game is the fact that these are what the counters look like sometimes. These are technically two different counters. Let me see what they might be. Probably nomads and barbarians. But the thing is, they are different because they are called barbarians or nomads based on their statistics. So the number on the top left, like I said, is just a nomenclature. It's a unit ID. Don't worry about that one. But the top right is morale. Bottom left is attack, and bottom right is movement. So, but these are, if you're looking at this, it's like they're the same unit. Is that a barbarian or is that a town guard or something like that? You can't tell. You have to go by the numbers, and so that means you have to remember the numbers. So there was a big mishap on that. I don't know why couldn't they afford another silhouette. I don't know what happened there. That was a big mistake to me. Okay, so there are a few tidbits of information that are interesting in regard to transporting units by either the flying rocks, aerial units, or the ships. Both of them can carry one unit, and basically for the flying rocks, they can take off and fly over anything, but they have to land on land by the end of the turn. And not only that, they have to drop off who they were carrying so they can rest. I guess it's a day of travel. But basically go and drop them off into a hex and then have one more hex to travel so they can be by themselves. Naval units can only be boarded by your troops in a port. However, when you drop them off, they can go to any coastal hex and just drop them off just as fine. So interesting things there. Now, I found it weird that the setup for the game did not happen until Rules Section 11. Most games would start you off. I mean, I guess that's not true because Columbia Games definitely starts theirs off later as well. But sometimes I just want to jump right into it and get things set up so I can at least look through and get examples of what they're talking about already. So what do you think? Do you think you like to have a game set up before you go through the rules, or do you like to read the rules before you set it up? Let me know in the comments down below. So that'd be interesting to what you think. So this is the frustrating part about City States of Arklyrell because there's so much to like about it. I mean, it's wargaming light with a fantasy genre, okay? It's the perfect Trojan horse to get somebody into wargaming, you know? And personally, I love the recruitment aspect of the game because it makes the first 12 turns really a scenario generator. I mean, the 12 turns work really fast. You either recruit these people or you don't recruit them. Another time, it's different every time by the time you get to turn 12. So at the time turn 13 starts, it's like, okay, here's my forces. There's your forces. Let's do battle and see who can take over the citadels, right? Even though you're still recruiting more along the way if you can. But generally, that's how I view it. But the most determining factor of why this game has a hard time in my heart is because of the fact that you can't easily determine who owns what. It gets very confusing. You're going to have to always consult. I mean, you'll know where your own forces are. It's where everybody else's forces is the problem. Do you own that? Do you own that? Who owns that over there? You can't do it easily. Even in a two-player game, you would think, okay, I'm over here, he's over there, and we'll probably meet in the middle, and we'll just work it out. It's not like that because you control two heroes, one on each part of the board, and two of them are actually close to each other by about 5 hexes. They're on different islands, but they're only 5 hexes apart. So you're going to have that confusion coming in no matter what. The only solution is to print out, get a hard stock paper and print out your own counters because you can't do it on the Game Crafter. I mean, you could. I'm just saying that's expensive to do that for all 4 counters. All 4 hero colors, right? So the best thing to do is make your own counters. That'd be the only thing I can think of as a solution. So past that, though, there's a lot to like about this, but it does have some problems as well. But at the same time, it's only like $10. I've seen it on eBay for. By all means, grab it if you see them. And that is my review of City States of Arklyrell. See you guys next video.